In the depths of the seas are found some amazing yet dangerous creatures that can be fascinating as well as intimidating at the same time. One of these creatures is the sea snake. Sea snakes are best known for their powerful venom and eye-catching colour schemes. These marine reptiles are extremely well adapted to aquatic life, with nostrils that function as valves, tails and even scales that aid in moving through the waves. But they also have some outstanding features that are often neglected, which we're going to talk about today. According to some experts, not all snakes that live in the sea can be called sea snakes, but the phrase true sea snake refers to any of the 64 recognized species of snakes in the Elapidae family that spend the most of their life in the ocean. They even give birth to offspring in the water. This group also includes land-based snakes like cobras and mambas. There are also 8 species of sea kraits or latichorda, which are semi-aquatic reptiles that lay eggs on land. 3 different species of sea krait can be found in freshwater settings. Sea snakes, also known as marine snakes, are a subgroup of venomous snakes that live and hunt in the sea. They are closely related to land snakes and have adapted to a fully aquatic lifestyle with specialized features such as flattened tails for swimming and valves in their nostrils to keep water out while diving. And what's interesting is that every species of sea snake has fangs at the front of their mouth which permanently stand up. This is a characteristic of members of Elapidae. They can deliver a powerful toxin via their fangs, and because they inject it, marine snakes are considered venomous rather than poisonous. The turtle-headed sea snakes, Emidocephalus, are an exception because they have a diet of fish eggs and lack venom. But where are these marine masters found? Sea snakes are commonly found in shallow tropical areas stretching from the eastern Pacific Ocean to the Indian Ocean. Most species prefer coastal waters where they hunt in reefs, seagrass meadows, or on the muddy seafloor. The yellow-bellied sea snake, Hydrophis platurus, can also be seen far out at sea, feeding on fish near the surface of the ocean. The yellow-bellied sea snake is exceptionally widely distributed in almost all tropical waters other than the Atlantic, so it is perhaps one of the more likely species to be encountered, including individuals that may have washed up on beaches. Of the 55 species of true sea snakes, most adults are 1 to 1.5 meters or 3.3 to 5 feet long, though some individuals may attain 2.7 meters or 8.9 feet. To help them swim, true sea snakes have tails shaped like paddles and narrow scales along their bellies so that they can maintain a laterally compressed shape to aid swimming. Sea kraits also have paddle-like tails, but they retain the bigger belly scales of their terrestrial relatives, allowing them to move efficiently on land. One type of sea snake is an exception to the rule and can be found throughout the ocean. It's the venomous platurus, commonly called the yellow-bellied sea snake. They spend their time swimming freely in the ocean, typically far from shore, though the wind and currents may push them toward land. These snakes are sometimes found in the waters around Hawaii, Guam, and the Philippines. The yellow-bellied sea snake often swims alone, but sometimes he may get together with others of his kind as he seeks food or a mate. These snakes aren't technically migrating, but rather following ocean currents. Sea snakes have overcome a significant hurdle of living in salt water because of unique glands in the floor of their mouth that allow them to eliminate excess salt. Besides that, these marine experts exhibit a variety of adaptations to marine life, including specialized sensory organs on their scales to detect waterborne vibrations and vision pigments in their retinas that are more turned away from wavelengths of light that do not reach deeper into the water. Another aspect of these snakes that is being talked about a lot is their eyes. It's also one of the aspects that fascinates a lot of the people. According to some experts, there's an ongoing debate about how snakes evolved from lizards. 2 leading hypotheses are that they became snake-like by acquiring features that were adaptations to either burrowing in soils or living in the sea. Thus, experts have been addressing aspects of this debate by conducting research on the visual systems of these two groups of snakes. Snakes are believed to have lost some of their predecessors' colour vision abilities tens of millions of years ago as they adapted to low-light environments, but new research reveals that sea snakes have supposedly re-evolved some of their colour sensitivity. When sea snakes dive for prey, they encounter highly fluctuating light conditions. Underwater, blue light predominates, whereas yellow and red light are significantly decreased. They then return to the light on the surface to breathe. Because of their diving behavior, sea snakes are skilled at holding their breath. In 2019, scientists discovered the first evidence of snakes swimming to depths of more than 200 meters into the chilly waters of the twilight zone, probably to hunt. Unlike fish, sea snakes do not have gills that allow them to obtain oxygen from the water. Sea snakes have lungs that they fill with air during surface excursions, but they can also absorb oxygen into their blood via their skin. Researchers observed that the annulated sea snake, Hydrophis cyanocinctus, has a complex network of veins on its forehead and snout, which likely aids in the delivery of more oxygen to its brain throughout extended periods of time underwater. And what do sea snakes like to eat? There are dozens of different kinds of sea snakes, each having a diet tailored to their own biological niche. Still, there are some commonalities between them that we can investigate. Whether they live in a murky mangrove or a beautiful coral reef, sea snakes have similar preferences. The most preferred foods by sea snakes are eels. A report in 1983 has data to confirm that the most common food that sea snakes prefer is eels. The data was acquired by catching sea snakes and recording what was found inside their belly. What researchers learned was that one of the main factors for sea snakes when choosing their prey is their ability to swallow it. Since they are thin and long, it makes sense that eels would be the perfect food for these reptiles. Although eels are the primary food source for sea snakes, they aren't the only ones. Fish is another essential source of food for sea snakes, but they generally prefer a specific shape of fish. The same report showed that the most common type of fish was a goby-like fish. Most goby-like fish are round and have long, tapered bodies that could be easily swallowed by a sea snake. Additionally, sea snakes eat pretty much any fish they have the ability to wrap their mouths around. Although not as prevalent, sea snakes can consume a variety of other prey. Small octopus, fish eggs, small crustaceans, and soft-shelled crabs are frequent prey sources for these marine masters. All in all, sea snakes are carnivores that primarily prey on eels, although they do eat fish and crustaceans. But you might be wondering how they actually hunt their prey. Sea snakes are aquatic snakes that can't actually move on land. As a result, all of their hunting happens in the water. Let's take a look at some of the strategies they use to help them hunt. Part of what allows sea snakes to be so successful is their venom. Sea snakes are among the most venomous snakes in the world. The closest related group of terrestrial snakes are cobras. Cobras are known for their venom, but the sea snake is known to be multiple times more venomous than even the cobra. The hook-nosed sea snake is the most venomous of all sea snakes, with an estimated 3% of bites resulting in death. For hunting aquatic life, this venom allows the snake to kill prey without too much of a struggle. Despite spending their lives living under the water, sea snakes must move to the surface to breathe. They have lungs that run the full length of their bodies, as well as skin that can absorb oxygen from the air. Both of these characteristics enable them to dive pretty deep in order to find food in difficult-to-reach areas. Although sea snakes can kill almost anything they can bite, they have to be able to swallow it. In a study in 2013, researchers recorded a correlation between the neck diameter and prey size that was around 1.2. Essentially, a sea snake is able to eat prey that is up to 1.2 times larger than its neck. Anything more, and it would cause it to choke. For prey that is larger, the most common tactic is to pull off pieces to swallow. There have been recorded instances of snakes pulling apart living soft-shelled crabs during the molting season. Although a snake couldn't swallow a large crab with a tough shell, they are able to tear it apart during the molting season and swallow parts of it at a time. But do they hunt on land? True sea snakes are completely adapted to hunting in the water. In contrast to terrestrial snakes, they have spherical bodies and flattened tails for swimming. Although some sea snakes become stuck in tide pools, most species survive in water up to 100 meters deep. Some groups of sea snakes known as latocordids, homolopsids and natricids are not completely water adapted. Many of these snake species must return to land to reproduce and deposit eggs. True sea snakes, or the hydrophids, spend their entire lives in the water, however. So what about their reproduction and lifespan? If we talk about their reproduction and lifespan, then sea snakes are typically ovoviviparous, with the exception of one genus, the sea crate, which is oviparous and comprises 5 species that lay their eggs on land. Ovoviviparous means that the eggs are retained in the uterus until they hatch. Females give birth to live young, which are often extremely large, perhaps half the length of their mother. Sea snakes can live for approximately 10 years. Sea snakes are generally solitary creatures, and interactions between individuals are usually limited to mating. However, some species, such as the banded sea crate, may aggregate in large numbers at certain times of the year. They are not known to have any specific interactions with other sea creatures, although some species may be preyed upon by larger marine animals such as sharks and crocodiles. Does that make them dangerous? To some extent, we can say yes. Sea snakes are extremely venomous, even more than a cobra. Their venom contains a lethal combination of myotoxins and neurotoxins. Luckily, there haven't been many recorded sea snake bites, and those that did get bitten all lived. Sea snakes rarely deliver venom when attacking due to their small fangs. But there are certain challenges that are being faced by sea snakes. Number 1 is the human impact on sea snake populations, and one of the main ones being overexploitation. Sea snakes are often hunted for their skins, which are used to make traditional clothing, jewelry, and other items. Furthermore, they are caught as bycatch in fishing operations, which can have serious consequences for their populations. Climate change and sea level rise have an impact on sea snakes by disrupting their native habitats and making it difficult for them to locate food and refuge. Apart from that, climate change and sea level rise are also having a significant impact on sea snake populations. Rising temperatures and sea levels can cause the loss of coastal habitats, which are essential for sea snakes to breed and feed. In addition, changes in water temperature can also affect the timing of breeding and hatching, making it difficult for sea snakes to reproduce successfully. Then they also get affected by pollution and habitat destruction. Pollution and habitat destruction are also major threats to sea snake populations. Polluted waters can affect the health of sea snakes and make it difficult for them to find food. Habitat destruction, such as the destruction of mangrove forests, can also have a significant impact on sea snake populations. In addition, the construction of dams, canals, and other infrastructure can also fragment sea snake habitats, making it difficult for them to move and find food. And did you know that there are some predators out there that actually feed themselves with sea snakes? Like dolphins. Surprised? Ha, it's true. Dolphin researchers in California discovered a unique addition to the diet of the aquatic mammal in August 2022. What was originally a study to discover the capabilities of captive dolphins feeding in the wild resulted in the unforeseen discovery of a dolphin eating not 1, but 8 venomous sea snakes. Apart from dolphins, their predators also include sharks, large eels, sea eagles, and large bony fish such as groupers. There are even records of a sea snake being regurgitated by a leopard seal. And maybe that can also be considered as one of the challenges being faced by these sea creatures. But overall, sea snakes are facing a variety of threats from human and other activities which can have a significant impact on their populations. It's important for conservation efforts to be implemented to protect sea snakes and their habitats to help ensure their survival for future generations. Now let's have a quick fun fact session about the sea snakes, also known as the marine masters. Sea snakes aren't merely fish that can walk on land, but they do. That's right, sea snakes move by undulating their bodies, same as fish do, and like fish, sea snakes have a dorsal fin. If you see double or triple, it's because they have two dorsal fins. This also assists them in breathing since their second fin stabilizes the snake while it moves, allowing for more effective breathing. Sea snakes can be seen in the Gulf of New Mexico and off the coast of California. The Pacific, coral, and olive sea snakes are among the most venomous snakes in the world. They carry a modest amount of venom that can cause paralysis and respiratory collapse. As fascinating as they may appear, utmost caution should be exercised when swimming in areas where sea snakes may be present. Their toxins are not intended for people and hence represent a minimal risk. However, if you are bitten by a sea snake, get medical assistance right away. They are capable of living in some of the most inhospitable waters on Earth, and that's probably what makes them so resilient. Not only do sea snakes have to contend with predators like sharks and crocodiles, but they also live in some of the most inhospitable waters on Earth. The waters where sea snakes live are dark and cold, which requires them to have some special adaptations. Their ability to absorb oxygen through their skin and the fact that they don't need light makes them extremely resilient. They hold their breath for up to an hour. One of the characteristics that allows sea snakes to thrive in their aquatic environment is their capacity to hold their breath underwater for extended periods of time. This permits them to remain submerged while searching for prey or avoiding predators. Some sea snakes may remain underwater for up to an hour. This genetic trait is enabled by two factors: their uniquely developed lungs and the fact that they do not consume water. Most terrestrial creatures must drink water to survive, while sea snakes acquire all of their hydration from food. As a result, they do not need to consume water while diving, which allows them to conserve energy. They can die of thirst. Water, water everywhere, not a single drop to drink. Well, this well-known turmoil-ridden phrase doesn't just apply to humans, but also to sea snakes. These reptilian seafarers still need to drink fresh water to survive. Of course, spending all day at sea is not conducive to consuming fresh water. Some snake species head to land to find water, while others wait for rain to deposit fresh water on the surface of the ocean, which they can then drink while swimming. And that's all for today's video. Thanks for keeping up with the insane biology of sea snakes with us. If you enjoyed diving into the science behind the life of these marine masters, don't miss out on more captivating content about the interesting stuff of this planet. Subscribe now to stay tuned for more scientific wonders.